Hey everybody, beautiful roast chicken today. This is going to be awesome. It's super simple. This is a family favorite of ours, and you're going to see how easy it is to roast a chicken like a professional chef. Stick around. If you like the episode, thumbs up, subscribe, hit the notification bell, share it, comment, everything. Stick around. I'm going to show you how we get this done. So what we want to do to start our chickens is we want to make sure it's completely dry on the outside because we're going to try to get a nice brown color on it to start out the cooking process. If it's wet, water's the enemy here. They will inject these things with water for two reasons. One, try to keep it moist. Secondly, you're paying for these things by weight. And the more water they can pump into these things, the more they can charge you. So keep that in mind when you're buying these. I always buy them 2 at a time because it's cheaper to do that. And I almost always buy chicken whole because I can break it down. I can freeze the breasts. I can freeze the legs, and I can use them whenever I want. I can save the bones to make stocks and broths and whatnot. But like I said, the first thing we want to do is dry this chicken. And then we're going to truss it with some string so that it looks nice and tight like this one. So it's nice like a ball. We want an even shape so that it all cooks evenly. Legs, breasts, everything cooks together at the same time. So first thing I do is I pat this thing down really well with some paper towels. I want it as bone dry as I can get it. Then I'm going to stuff a few things inside the cavity. And then we'll truss it. So just get it completely dry. Try to keep a dry workspace here. That's why I got a paper towel down underneath it. Because water is going to come out of this thing as we're working with it. It's kind of ridiculous how much liquid they actually put into these things and how much they'll hold. So 2 things I put into my chicken, well 3. I put in celery, and I take a bulb of garlic and I cut it right down the middle on its side, and I stuff that right inside the cavity. I also take some fresh thyme and stuff it in there. I got to go get it from my garden. This is my salt and pepper mix. And I know I've got dirty hands. Don't worry about it. I sanitize everything afterwards. This is my salt and pepper mix. It's 1 part white pepper to 7 parts salt. I season everything, outside and inside. And I put a good amount in there. Okay. While we're not eating what's on the inside of this chicken, it's going to permeate through the whole thing. This salt on the outside and the fact that it's dry is what's going to give it that nice, crispy texture on the outside of it. A good amount. Don't overdo it, but you don't want to underdo it either. Okay. I'm going to bring you in close in a moment here, but I want to show you these little winglets here. Everybody cuts these off. I use them to my advantage. I stick them up underneath the front here. Just like that. Okay. That's where I start out with. I'll bring you in close, then I'll show you how I truss this thing. Okay, so what we do to truss this chicken, got to get some butcher's twine, just like this. I got this at a restaurant supply store a few years ago, and it will literally last you for 10 or more years. Take off a good amount of it. Then what I do is I start up underneath this little flap underneath the back here, crisscross it, go over top of the legs, wrap around those and crisscross them again. It's just like that. See how it brings the legs together? Then I bring it around underneath, above the wing joint, around the front, to the side. And then what I do is I come underneath, I go over once, over a second time, and that creates a slip knot. Okay? Then all I do is I push down tight. You'll see it brings it into a tight ball. Oven's ready. Then I do 1 more knot to lock it in place. Now it's not going to move. Cut it off right there. It's ready to go into the pan. I will show you that now. So here I've got a pan. I'm doing 2 chickens at once, so I'm using a bigger pan. I have a mix of mirepoix here. It's carrot, celery, and onion. All I'm using that for is a base so that I don't have this touching on the bare metal. I'm going to make 2 little piles of it. It'll add a little flavor to it, but this is really just as a barrier to keep this off of the metal. There and there. And if you can see, I put the thyme in here. I stuffed it in there. I went out and got it. Okay. Let me rinse my hands off real quick. I'd rather say wash them. Okay. At this point, I'm going to take some olive oil. Not extra virgin, but regular olive oil. Put a little bit on there, and then we'll rub it in so that it's all over the outside of this thing where it's going to be exposed. Underneath the chicken doesn't really matter. That's not the part we really eat. Here's the breast, in case you didn't know. My wife told me to actually mention that because she didn't know where the chicken breast was on a chicken. It's right here on top. It's that big fat part, juicy part. Legs are here, wings are here. And don't cut these wings off. Like I said, you'll see what happens to these wings down in that fat that comes off of these. It turns into a really tender wing, and it's my favorite part of the whole chicken. So from here, it goes into a 450-degree oven until it gets golden brown on the outside, and then we reduce the temperature and cover it so that it can cook to an internal temperature of 165. Okay, so I had them in the oven for about 40 minutes. They're not cooked yet, but I did get the outside browned up a bit. That's what we're looking for. That'll help to seal in the juices because these are huge chickens. They're absolutely massive. And it's going to take them over probably about an hour and a half to cook totally. So I'm going to lower my temp in my oven down to 350. And that's where I'll continue to cook it until it's got an internal temperature of 165 degrees. At this point, I'm going to cover them in foil. This will help to seal in the steam. And it'll help it cook a little more evenly as that heat just kind of circulates around inside this foil. Because if you did this ahead of time, you'd have to try to sear it afterwards, and then you might have an overcooked chicken. That's why we want to sear it ahead in that 450 degrees. Super, super high oven. So back into the oven it goes until they're cooked. Okay, so we have an internal temperature of about 165. It's actually a little bit over that by now. Take it out of the oven and let it rest for about 10 minutes. First thing I want to do to carve this up is take the strings off it because we don't want to eat strings. I make this family style, so I put it on a big platter and everybody just kind of picks off what they want. Start with the legs. Just come in here by the legs. First of all, sharp knife. You got to have a sharp knife. I use my boning knife. You can see all the juices still left in this, even though it's totally cooked. It's full of juices. And one thing you want to look for is clear juices. There's no blood left behind. Legs pop right off, just like that. I cut and separate the drumstick from the thigh, just like that. Put it on the tray. Now, I use my bare hands generally because I have asbestos hands from working in the industry for so long. But if you need to use tongs, use tongs. Okay? Again, separate the drumstick from the thigh. Straight down. That's where the joint is. Comes apart. Then I go to the breasts. Now, right down the middle here is a bone. We want to go down along that bone on both sides. Down one side and let the bone walk right along that, or let the knife walk along that bone. Okay? Just kind of peel it away a little bit at a time. Go right along that rib cage. As we get through there, goes right off, just like that. We remove that end piece right here off the wing, and these, because they sat down underneath the chicken in the broth, that is so tender it melts in your mouth. That's my favorite part. Okay, separate the other wing part. Take this one off. Like I said, I have asbestos hands. I don't expect you to just be able to handle it like this. Okay, get this out of my way. Okay, again, separate that little winglet part right there. Pull these apart. And then I will go ahead and slice this. We take as much as we want. Oop, I got a little bone in there. That's okay. Just pulls right off. See? That's another reason I do this. I find these little bones sometimes. My knives are very, very sharp, and they'll cut right through them. Okay? But it doesn't matter. Like I said, this is just a family-style meal. Big chunks of chicken breasts. Put it on the platter. I'll show you the whole platter once I'm all done here. Yeah, see, we got some bone there. It's okay. There we go. It doesn't want to come apart. There we go. Okay. That's it. All these little pieces, you can eat these right now. So tender. So here we got the roast chicken. All cut up, ready to serve. We just take what we want, put it on a plate. We have the au jus from the chicken. Dauphinoise potatoes, absolutely delicious and super easy to make. And glazed carrots, because they're also super easy to make and delicious. So everybody, that's the show. I want to apologize for not having one last week. I had a video loaded up, ready to go, and it just wasn't the quality that I was looking for. I'm going to remake that. It was a bread episode, actually. Probably do that next week. If you like this episode, you want to see how to make the Dauphinoise potatoes, how to make the glazed carrots, how to make the au jus. The au jus is just literally the juice that was cooked underneath it. But it really doesn't even need it. It's so moist already. But if you want to add some au jus on top, have at it. I'll have another episode out for you next week. Like I said, give it a thumbs up, subscribe, share it with your friends, comment. What do you want to see? This was actually a viewer request video, how to make a roast chicken. Because a lot of people don't understand the parts of the chicken, how to do it. You see a lot of different ways of doing it. This is a guaranteed way to have a juicy chicken. And I usually do 2 at a time. Because whatever I don't eat right now is going to get turned into chicken salad. My wife loves chicken salad, so I'm going to make it. So I'll see you all next time. Have an awesome day.